Hello there. This is a tutorial on how to use MEC to create slides in Warcraft 3 itself without having to use the world editor much at all. MEC stands for Max Escape Creation. It's a tool made by Maximaxou, and in principle the whole idea is that you don't have to use the world editor much. You can create the terrain and the units inside the map itself. And once you're done with creating stuff, you can save your progress by exporting all you created to some text files outside the game, then putting the content of that into World Editor and then into your map. The World Editor is then actually only used to apply some finishing touches. So how to start? Well, since you are unable to create slides with MEC in Reforged, you will have to use an older Warcraft 3 patch. There are multiple versions of MEC, but the ones you should choose from are versions 1.2D and 1.3B. 1.2D can be used for Warcraft 3 patch 1.26 and higher, while 1.3B can only be used in patch 1.31 and higher. Since 1.3B is newer, this tutorial is about how to use that one. But the idea is largely the same for the 1.2D version. So first to start is you will need to use the patch 1.31 of Warcraft 3. You can download it from this website, where you can go to game files and then you see a download link for 1.31.1. The link for this website is also in the description for that matter. And then the next thing you do is you open this, the Warcraft 3 1.31 in your folder, and you go to JassHelper, the folder JassHelper. And for me, I used the x86_64 since I have a 64-bit system, but it doesn't really matter much. So once you're in JassHelper, you open it and you get into here and you see 3 lines, and you basically have to add one more line of code to this, and that's what you have to add is open bracket doreturnfixer, just without spaces, and then close bracket, and then you save this. Right. You need to do this if you want to save your MEC map inside World Editor. Next you go to the Max Escape Creation website made by Maximaxou. This is the website you will largely use for making your slide in-game with MEC, because there's a whole tutorial on how to use all the commands and what the commands are. First you go to the required tools, and let me just guide you through here because you don't need everything. First, you just new generation pack. You don't need it all because this 1.31 patch of Warcraft 3 doesn't. It's not compatible with this. So instead of that, you use the Warcraft 3 patch 1.31 World Editor, which can be found in your folder. Then you need the base map, Max Escape Creation. However, this version has a few bugs in it, the 1.3B version that we use in this tutorial. So instead I fixed some bugs with the help of Maximaxou, and released a new version, an edited version that you can use. The link is in the description as well. Then you need MPQ Master. Well, this link also doesn't work anymore. So there's also a link in the description of this video that you can use, where you can download it. Then you need the Warcraft 3 cache converter, and it's the same story here. It doesn't work, so you need to download it from this site, also in the link in the description. Then you will need the Jest generator, but this one does work, and you basically get the 1.3B version, which is the bottom one. Then the map converter doesn't work for patch 1.31, so you don't need it because there's it's combined. Every map you make can be played in the Frozen Throne, and since in patch 1.31 you get both. Then the Warcraft 3 map optimizer doesn't work either. and instead, if you really want to protect your map, you need to download the newer version, which can be found on the internet. But I don't think your map will ever be stolen, so I don't really think it's necessary. But that's up to you. Next, you go to the tab Prepare a map for a new escape. And you can see the first thing you gotta do is you downloaded the base map, and you need to make a copy of this. So here you got a copy, and you rename it to your slide, which is, for me, it's test slide. That's just my name. Then you open the World Editor. And this might actually give some problems to you, because if you worked in the World Editor in the Reforged app, then this one will not open unless you change the registry. In the description of this video, there's a guide on how to do this. It's really quick. You basically open the Registry Editor through the Windows key plus R, and where you type in the regedit. Then you navigate to H key of current user, /software, /Blizzard Entertainment, /WorldEdit, and you find the key Tool Windows, and you just delete that key. And then, if you've done that, you can open the World Editor. Then you open the map, your map, and test slide, and then you wait a bit. And you can see there's not really that much in it. There's actually almost empty. But if you, the first thing you gotta do is go to the trigger editor, which you do not have to really use much. But there's just one thing you gotta change. On the top, you see in the first library, you see the trigger constants. You open this, and you see the constant real low period for work. You change this value from 0.0001 to 0.005, which is like a 50 times increase, and then you save the map. By the way, if you forgot the step about JassHelper, then you will not be able to save the map. But I did implemented the steps, so it's saved. Then you go to the first. You want to do a few things, and you can see this on the website. Is to increase the size of the terrain. You can go and modify the map bounds. Let me just guide you through that. I think it's scenario, map size, and camera bounds. It has to be this number has to be a multiple of 32. So you tick on this, and then you just change. Well, you can get it to 64 times 64, for example. I recommend to use 160 by 160 if you want to use about 8 levels of decent size. And you press OK. And the next step is change the map name. It's important. Then you go to scenario and map description, and you call it a slide. For me. Okay. Then you can also change the red color that you see in the upkeep. It's on the top right when you enter the game, where normally there's the value by Maximaxou, but you can change to your own alternate. However, I'm not going to show that. Basically, everything is in the on the website if you want to change it. So then we save. And before I forget, we need to do one more thing, and that is in the terrain palette we need to use make a starting area. Then first we don't want this desert terrain, so we want a different terrain. Then we go to advanced, modified tileset. We want to use a custom tileset, for example. I want to use this leaves tileset, but you can also use everything else. It doesn't really matter that much. We want to add this tile, and I press OK. This is a little bit laggy, but then we create a starting area where your main characters your sliders will start in. This is going to be our walk area, so this is not going to be a slide area. And then we go to the region palette, and this is the starting revive point. And if you need to put it over your starting area so that your sliders revive from this area. Okay, now that we've done that, we've done everything. And we can go into the game and make some changes. Make the first level of the slide. Can close this. Then we go to Warcraft 3. The patch 1.31 version. Don't worry about it's black, it's just a weird bug. Now we find here my test slide. We start it. And we use solo. Don't think it really matters, but just to be sure. And the first thing you gotta do is type dash VA is a vision visibility of forever, so we can see the whole map. And as you can see, I spawned here on my starting area. So to create stuff in MEC, we use the website again, and we go to step 1, choose and set terrains. And the first thing you want to do is make a walk terrain, a death terrain, and a slide terrain. You can have multiple slide terrains, death terrains, and walk terrains, but that's up to you. You need 3 of them at least. So, 1 of each at least, I mean. Well, then the first thing you gotta do is, I want to make this my walk terrain. At last. And I can either find the terrain code in the terrains tab of this of the website, where you can find, for example, Ashenville, and you can see leaves is number 34, and then this is the code ALVD. And you need this in order to specify the terrain in the map. But I want a different terrain. We want to do the nice terrain, the northern ice terrain, and for the slide, and the northern snow terrain for the death terrain. So we first try to find, for example, if we've already made this terrain in the world editor, and if I don't want to use the website to see what kind of terrain code this is, I just type -GTI, which is get terrain info, and then right click, and then you can see here Ashenville and in the French name 34 ALVD. Now then we go back to the tutorial, and we see now we need to use the command new walk, and then the label we call it. So this is new walk, is to create the walk terrain. Then we give it the label walk, and then we type the code ALVD for the Ashenville. Now this is now a walk terrain, and we need to specify this. Like, we can already walk here, but this is like the official walk terrain now. Now we need to also make it for the slide and death terrain. For the slide terrain it's similar. We just do dash news slide, and then nice. And then for death terrain we do the same. Snow. Don't forget the apostrophes, the quotation marks. Then we need to create the slide, and this is very easy. As you can see here, is dash create walk or create death, create slide. It matters what oh wait, we already have this. Create slide. It matters what the label is. For example, if you didn't call your walk terrain walk, but something like walk 2, then you need to type create walk 2 instead of create walk. Now with right clicks you can create rectangles. You can create your slide terrain. Okay, beautiful. This is my first level. Let me just add a little bit more. Okay, perfect. Now I continuously or often type -S, and it's to stop your current action. You can also, since you use it often, you can also use the shortcut, and you can assign, for example, assign A and S is to, and if you tap A, you can tap -S all the time. It's useful, for example, if you want to create death or create slide very often. Now we create some death terrain. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is much quicker than on the world editor for that matter. So one of the advantages of using MEC. Okay, and then we end this level with create a new walkthrough. Okay, great. Create death. And you know what? This is my whole map. It's only one level. Then the next thing you want to do is add units to this to the map. By the way, there's also more parameters you can use to change to change for the death terrain, for the slide terrain, for the walk terrain. For example, the slide speed you can change, and there's this comments doc. Has a lot of comments in it you can use. For example, here is their stuff in it. And then for the monsters, you want to use we first need to get the unit types for the monsters, and you can find these unit types in the world editor. Let me just open it again. I opened it, closed it prematurely. Then if you go to module and then object editor, and then let me just show you how it shows for you. And this is how it shows for you first. You want to go to view and then tick on display values as raw data. So you can see like a 4-letter code in front of every unit. This is the unit type ID that you need to make units in the game. So what the most traditional units to use in a slide are trolls, and those are also my favorite units. So let me just find the ice troll which fits the setting. It's called knitter. It's the unit type code. Then you go to the website and you find this is the construction of your to create a monster. It's new monster label unit type ID, which is the knitter, and then immolation radius. The immolation radius is how big the area is around the unit in which it will kill you. Like if it's very small immolation, then you can almost just go over the unit without dying, and if it's very large, you die even in an area around it. New monster, leave it is, yep. Label as troll, knitter, and then immolation. I use 50. It's common. But it's up to you what you do. You just have to play around with it. Now I have my first monster. I can check my monsters that I've created in -dm, and for the slides that I created with -dt. Now I want to create a monster troll, and this is for the next step. Like as you can see here in the parameters, you have more parameters you can change, but that's for you to look at. If you want to create monsters on your map in your slide, you have to type. You have several things you can do. Is create monster with create monster CRM and then troll, and it creates just, it's probably your most used one. It can create monsters that walk where you click. You put 2 clicks and you can make them diagonal. You can make them straight. You can do whatever you want. Then you tap -S to stop the action. And the next thing, next type of monster creation you can use is CRMA, troll, and it does the same, but you don't have to use 2 clicks. You have to walk 1 click, and it will walk in a straight line from one side to the other. And it's also one of the most used creation types commands you will use. It's very simple. Now there's also the non-moving monsters you can use. I would use a different monster type for this, but let's just use troll for this one. Here we go. And if you don't want to put it here, you can use -z, and we want to put it here, for example. But all the commands are also on the website, so you can check that. And there's one more thing. In the case you want to use a monster walking a very long distance, for example, from this side to the other, as you can see, it doesn't walk in a straight line. It slightly walks off and to a different point in the middle or somewhere else. So to change that or to solve that, you can use a different command. And this is just a trick I'm going to tell you. In principle, you can use this command for different stuff as well. And that is with the create monsters with multiple petrels. And then we hold up. We will try this again. We go here. We want to put it here. We want to stop it here, and then here. Now, as you can see, this monster will walk first to this point, then to this point, and then to this point, all in a seemingly straight line. And it's pretty much straighter than in the other way. Now that you've created your monsters, you have two more things to do. Well, there's a step 4 is to create meteors, but we're not going to do this in this step. That's up to you. It doesn't have to be in your map. Then what you do want is the visibility zones, because when you enter your map, it's gonna be dark, but you want to make it your first level visible. So what you see now is get making level is a command to see your level that you're currently at. This is the first level. So we want to make a visibility zone for this first level. Is the command CRV, as you can see in the step 5, it's CRV. Then you want to make rectangles to create your visibility zone. So I want to make a visibility zone from here to here. Actually, from here to here is nice. And then from here to let's see. Here, and from here to here. Now I made multiple rectangles because my slide is not cannot be covered in one rectangle, or it could be, but it's kind of ugly because you have a whole area that you will see in visibility zones that's not part of your slide. It's kind of a waste. So now if you hide the terrain, you can see the visibility zones. It's multiple. It's 3 rectangles, as you can see. This part is kind of ugly, so we could remove that. And to just a note on this: if you made your visibility zones, then you can change them at the moment you're making them by using -z to remove them, and -i to go back to the step that you removed. Basically the same as in Word. But if you stop using visibility zones and you, for example, create monsters, and then you want to go back to changing your visibility zones, you cannot do that. So then you have to remove all your visibility zones and start again. So make sure that when you make visibility zones, you're certain that this is what you want. Now, the next step is for the levels. We're gonna create a level. So this is gonna be the first level, and we want to first make a new level. So we create a new level. Then for this level that we are right now, we're currently at number 0, the first level. We want to create the start of the next level. So this is create start next. And then let me just see more. This is gonna be the start. It's gonna be a rectangle again. This is just the spawning area of the next level. Then we want to create the end of the current level, and this is the rectangle in which the slider has to pass in order to finish the level. And we're gonna make it just not at the start of the walk area, but just inside. So this is how the first level is made, and we can just see if it worked. We're gonna hide it. We're gonna slide through, very easy. I almost died. I fucking died. Okay, hold up. We're gonna try this again. Yeah, these patrols are not made that well. Anyway, right now we're on the walk area, but it's not the next level yet. If you go a little bit further, this level appears, we enter life, and we're at the next level, which is over here. Like if you die now, and we respawn, then we respawn here. Alright, this is how you make a level. We've got one level, we've finished all the steps. Now we want to save our in-game modifications. If this is also on the website, it's clearly written steps. But let me just guide you through it. The first thing you type is MEC to save everything you have into the cache converter, or like just save it outside. Okay, you wait until the saving map finishes, because if you have a lot of stuff you made, then saving map finish will be later. Next, you can leave the map. You can leave Warcraft 3. You can do that. Make sure that if you only leave the map and you're still inside Warcraft 3, that you might not be able to change to modify the things in your map. So, and this is with regard to the terrain that you added. So the best thing you can do is just exit Warcraft 3, so you make sure that there's no problem. Next, you go to the Warcraft 3 folder that's safe. You find your profile 1. Let me just go there. This is in saved games. It's Warcraft 3 profile 1, and here we have my cache converter that I put in here that I downloaded before. I also put here my MEC JassGenerator. So the first step you want to do is you make a shortcut of this of the cache converter. Then you go to properties, and then you add space campaigns dot Warcraft 3 w3v. Apply. Okay, and let me see if it got it correctly. Warcraft 3v. This is how it should look like. Yeah, that's correct. And then press OK. Okay, and what you have to make sure is that the campaigns.w3v is at the latest date, which is for me very close to the latest date. It's just when I used the -smec command. Then this will be updated. Now we use the cache converter, and something quick happens. And once we've done that, we can use the JassGenerator. Okay, now we've done that, it worked. We get a new folder, fichier de sortie. Oh yeah, and by the way, it might be that it says that it's not very trusty program, but you can just ignore it. There's nothing wrong with it. Here, there's your in-game stuff that your in-game modifications that you made. And what you first need to do is get your terrain inside your map, because to do that we go to MPQ master, which you also downloaded. This is a slightly different version than what you probably gonna download. Then we go to, you first open your slide. Then the list files you need is Warcraft 3. For me it's Reign of Chaos and TFT, but for you it might be just Warcraft 3. Then we see the Warcraft 3, then we go to Warcraft 3 map.w3e, and we need this. We go to add file, then we navigate to fichier de sortie again, here, and we see a similar file, similarly named, and we open this. So we replace this file, and here it says no, 0 files added and 1 files replaced. Then we close this, and we go to the World Editor, which I happen to have already opened, but I did not open the map yet. And then we go to our test slide, the slide that we created, and we open it. Alright, and now we see, hey, our terrain is in the map that we didn't previously have, so that's good. Alright, then the next thing you do is you go to your trigger editor, and then you go scroll all the way down and you see JassGenerator. Then you see 3 triggers that you have, and you need to add some information in there. Then you go back to your vitiated sortie file. You see terrain types. You open it. You can open it with Visual Studio, but you can also open it with Notepad++. It doesn't really matter that much. Then you see here some text. And this is the stuff you create as your in-game terrain. You go to back your trigger, you remove this, and you copy paste what you found in the file. Then you do the same for the other 2 steps. You copy this. Also types creation. And for levels. This one is the bigger file. Terrain types, nope, levels. So, okay, and sometimes it might not completely copy, so you need, if for example something went wrong when you enter the game and it's not completely as you made it, it might be because it didn't copy correctly in the world editor. It sometimes has problems, or sometimes it even shows some weird symbols, but then you just have to try again. And if it doesn't copy completely, you have to add the things that haven't been copied, so be wary of that. But for me, this is probably right. Alright, now that we've done this, we've put all the progress we made in game into my map. So we first change the map description to my new map. It's testslide version 1. And then we save this map as testslide version 1. It should all work. Well, and this is how we entered every other progress inside the map. Now we can check this again, just to make sure. We open Warcraft 3 again. Got single player. Custom game. Testslide version 1 is under. You see the terrain in the minimap already, well that shows good promise. And you can select solo mode, and you see all the units that you made. Your hero will spawn, and we can try it out. Let's try it out. Let's complete the first level, this time without dying. Beautiful. There we go, and we have in the second level, but as you can see, it's the same as when we left it. But this time it's already saved in your map, so every time you open it, it's the same. The cheat commands and the making commands are still in the game, so if you want to continue, you just do the same. You go create walk or create slide. You create slide, create the new level, create that terrain, create the units, and then save it again. According to what is on the website, you can use it. All this stuff. And then, well, in the end you will have your final slide, and you have some more steps to do once you're completely done, but it's all on the website, you can see that. So yeah, these maps can also be played on Reforged and on the patch 1.31 where we created it. But the idea is that we want to use it on Reforged. The whole thing, and I'm just gonna say this again, why we use this patch is because on Reforged it doesn't work. This whole creating this slide with MEC. This is, for me, this is much easier than to create a slide from scratch with all the triggers you have to make on WorldEdit. And I think, well, if you want to make a slide, you can use this. It's very useful. And if you don't want to use it, then you don't. So yeah, that was it. If you have any questions, just post a comment, and I will try to answer them if I see them. Yeah, see you later.